Hi, this is Nick Jervis from Samson Consulting. I'm going to start the webinar shortly. We're just about on time. For those of you already here, if you can hear me, can I ask you to put your hand up? There's a little hand icon. If you can use that to make sure you can hear me clearly, that would be really useful. Thank you very much, Celia. Thank you, Kathy. Much appreciated. Okay, well, let's crack on. There is a questions box. If you have any questions at all, feel free just to use that, pop them in there, and I'll either do them as we go along or do them in groups at the end. So anything that you would like help with, please feel free to pop it in there and I will gladly answer it. Use me while you've got me on this session. I'll be happy to help. So more clients from your legal website, and I was thinking why this is important. I was looking at some stats recently which really surprised me, I have to say. So from the lovely people at the SRA, looking at the number of law firms, and going back to November 2014, it was 10,360. And despite all the changes we've had in the last few years, with legal aid constantly being dwindled away, taken away, removed from access to justice, personal injury claims going the same way, with lower value claims being removed, employment law claims changing, and with ABSs and also other non-legal competition coming into the sector, it surprised me that going forward from November 2014 to now, and actually the number of firms has risen. When you actually look at the number of people practicing, that has dramatically increased from 2009, around 115,000 to just under 140,000 now. So there's a lot of legal service providers out there in addition to solicitors. There's less transactions, less legal aid support. So there is a need to make sure you make the best of every opportunity that comes your way. And for me, your website is absolutely one of those best opportunities. And people often say to me, Nick, you talk about websites a lot, but you know that doesn't apply to everyone. It doesn't work for everyone. It does. Whether you're business to business, business to consumer, your website is the first place people would go to check out your expertise, and it's the first place people go to find a solicitor if they aren't automatically recommended to someone. And even in all the surveys out there that say, how would you choose a solicitor, I'd go on recommendation. When those people are actually asked, can you recommend a solicitor, normally the answer is no, because their previous solicitor doesn't keep in touch with them. So that's why websites are so important. So let's have a look at what we're going to cover. Briefly, that was a picture of myself and my son on the front there. And he got back into playing cricket with him, which has been great fun for me. So a very quick bit about me. I'm not really interested in me, so I don't expect you to be. But the one thing I say is I've spent a fortune marketing legal services. I'm not one of these consultants. I never wanted to be one of those consultants that talks about marketing theory but never does anything. I've had my own legal services website that I've tested and applied these strategies I'm sharing with you now, and have then share that information with you to make sure you get things right faster, because you can do things the hard way or you can do things the easy way, and I'm a big fan of doing things the easy way. So let me save you some making mistakes, and then what I'm going to do is, because I'm going to give you a lot of information now, I'm going to give you that information hopefully in about 30 minutes time, because I appreciate your time is busy. So I'm going to rattle through stuff quite quickly, but what I will say to you is at the end of the webinar, I'll give you a way that you can say to me, Nick, I couldn't take it all down. I'll give you access to a replay, but also I'll give you the chance for you to jump on a one-on-one call with me like this, and I'll actually look at your website and tell you what you need to do to make it better. So I'll share that with you at the end. So don't sit there worrying that it's not all going in. If you think these are good points, not quite sure what I need to do to my website, I'll show you how you can get me on the phone, and I'll show you what you need to do. So I've got a quick test which applies to all marketing, and it's quite a visual image that I'm going to use. There's a reason for that, because when you're being hounded on a Friday afternoon to buy some advertising, normally for around £1,000 mark, that seems to be the level that everyone chooses, this test will allow you to say, is this a good opportunity or a bad one? I can tell you that if it's being cold called, sold to you, generally you've got the answer there, in that if it was that good, everyone would want it. So there's different types of marketing. It's good marketing, bad marketing. And I use the peacock and the elephant to give you a visual demonstration of what this actually means. And a peacock, when he's ready to mate, fans his tail, looks beautiful, and lets the lady come over. So that's his way of mating. That's attraction marketing. At the right time, he gets someone coming to him. So easy marketing, lazy man's marketing, my favorite kind of marketing. Find someone at the right time that they're looking for you. That's attraction marketing. Elephant, less subtle, a bit more interruption-based marketing. So he wants to mate, he'll find someone and he'll try his best to mate. Not so effective because people aren't coming to him, he's going out there and trying to force his way onto people. So that's definitely interruption marketing. An example of interruption marketing would be newspaper advertising, TV advertising, radio, social media, which isn't the big new thing that everyone still talks about it as being. There's far better ways, far cheaper ways for you to win clients than social media, I can promise you, having spent millions on marketing. But it's always sold as the next big thing, even though it's been around for years now. So attraction marketing is what you want, which is when someone says, I need a solicitor to help me with problem A, types it into Google, finds your website, gives you a call. That is obviously why a website is so powerful, because it is all to do with attraction marketing. So, problems from your website. Let's talk about them. And a general one I cover before moving on. And I find it quite sweet that my PA now is my old legal secretary from my practicing days in Reading. And she's now freelance and she does a lot of work with me and she's brilliant. It's so nice to work with her after having left the legal profession in 2003, set up my consultancy. It's nice to be working with her again. And I was talking about, excuse me, a solicitor that we both work with. And he used to go off to court and he'd come back from court and he'd tell me how great he was, how much the district judge have loved his arguments and thought they were extremely clever. And he'd talk about 10 minutes and then at the end of that he'd say, anyway, Nick, enough about me. What do you think of me? Give me a chance to tell him that I also agreed that he was brilliant. And it's a common problem that applies to a lot of solicitors' marketing in that because you're not marketing people, and why should you be your solicitors, you start from the position of your firm as opposed to what's in it for the client. So it's always a case of for me saying, okay, how can we turn what you're talking about into a benefit for the client? So if you were formed in 1833, as interesting as that might be to you, and obviously it shows longevity, which is never a bad thing, what does it actually mean to the client in terms of getting a better legal service from you? And it might be that it formed in 1833, which means that we've dealt with thousands of matters just like yours. We'll get them done more quickly and more cost effectively. Excuse me. So it's about turning your features into benefits for your clients and making sure that the client understands exactly why you are the best placed firm to help them. So that's a useful little thing to bear in mind when you're looking at your website. So how do we get you more inquiries? Now this is an obvious one, isn't it? You know what you do, I know what you do, but it never ceases to amaze me how many times I go on a legal website and it doesn't shout out to the world that this is firm solicitors we're dealing with. And it happens so many times, and this is quite a big law firm in Bristol, and again it's not until you go searching down the page that you can see they're actually a law firm. So question for you, check your website. Has it got the word solicitors in the top left beneath the logo, where your logo must be, because people read in a figure of in an F-shaped figure, so they read across the top, then they go down the left and they go across. So have you got the word solicitors there? It's a badge of honor. Make sure you are displaying it because it's really important. Next thing is, if you manage to get me onto your website, and bear in mind this will have cost you money to do this, because either you'll have written some good content on the website or you'll have used Google AdWords to drive traffic to your website. When you get me there and I'm showing interest and I'm someone that's looking for a solicitor right now, and that's the beauty of attraction marketing, peacock marketing. I've typed in solicitor, Reading or wherever I am and the service. I find your website, I go onto your site. When you get me there, when you've done all this hard work, please make sure you tell me what I'm supposed to do at the end of every page, because I promise you if you don't, this is one of the things that will cost you so many inquiries for such a simple change. So let me give you an example. Get to this page, and if these are wills and probate specialists, I come to the bottom of the page and there's nothing there. Not told what to do, and you might say, well, there's a button there and there's a contact us detail there. It doesn't matter. You've got to spell it out for me, because to get someone to the page, normally there has to be a reasonable amount of content on there, which we'll come to in a minute. When I get through all of that content, at the bottom of it, tell me what to do. It is vital you tell me what to do, because your clients are busy as you are. If you make it hard for them, they'll press the button, they'll go onto your competitor's website, and away they go. When you get me to your website, you have to convince me that you're an expert, and I call this the 2-minute trust builder. It's actually about 89 seconds now. I manage quite a few websites for clients and review analytics and make sure their websites are working well. And across all of them, without spilling details on any individual site, the average time that someone spends on a website is about 89 seconds. So in that 89 seconds, you have to convince the prospect that's arrived at your website that you are the best firm to help them with their particular problem at that moment in time. So I developed what I call my 2-minute trust builder, but which has been reduced in time but still applies, which is that there's 2 aspects to it: depth of expertise and proof of expertise. Depth of expertise relates to amount of pages per law firm, per legal service, and then depth of content on the page. So you have to have enough content for me to believe that you actually deal with this subject matter and that it's an area of expertise for you. I was speaking with a firm of solicitors, and I said, I remarked on how little content was on each page, and they said, oh yeah, Nick, we're not falling for that one. We're not going to tell people what we do, because they'll just do it themselves. Which obviously couldn't be further from the truth. Most clients have no interest, desire or capability to do their legal work. And unless you have enough content on the page, A, your prospects won't believe that you know what you're talking about, and B, Google won't send any people to your website because they can't work out what your page is about. So having enough content, around 400 words per page minimum, is vital if you expect to get any traffic to your website. Second, amount of pages per area serviced. Again, if I'm looking for an expert, if I'm looking for a conveyancing solicitor or a business solicitor, and I find 1 page for those services, does that convey expertise, or does it convey that this is just a topic that you do a bit of but not a lot? I would say the latter. And I'm looking for an expert. So you've got to make sure that if you're talking about divorce law, there's 5 to 10 good deep pages of content in there explaining your expertise. I'm talking about conveyancing, 5 to 10 pages. Business, the same. The more content, the better. It really does apply when it comes to websites. I've never seen a website of 4 or 5 pages generate any business for a client unless the pages are very tightly targeting and Google AdWords is used. Otherwise, they just don't bring work in. I've seen a lot of websites that produce a lot of clients by having plenty of content on the page. Proof of expertise. Once you say you're great, prove it to me. So show me your qualifications, testimonials, press coverage you've had, books or articles, or even the volume of people helped. So things like the Legal 500, top ranked chambers, STEP, personal injury panel memberships, all of those things are great. And obviously if you can tie them down to the service that someone's looking at, so that they're specific for each section of your website, which is easy to do, particularly with things like WordPress, even better, because as I'm reading about your content, I'm being told that you are experts. And the most important thing is, if you have this on your website, rather than letting me click and go off to Legal 500 or Chambers, please don't do that, because then I also get access to their directory of other solicitors. So let me link through to a page, and on that page explain what all of these things means to me as a client. So coming back to my Moody Tom, enough about me, what do you think of me? Don't talk about what you had to do to get this qualification, but talk about why it means you're a better firm and why you'll be better placed to help your client at their moment of need. The next part, sell me onto your website. And this shows you some really boring behind the scenes stuff, which is why I say to you, don't worry too much. Let me show you specifically on a one-to-one, and I can go into this in more detail. But it is so vital. If you do a search for anything, as you do in Google, the content that appears in the search results is gleaned by Google by Google from your own website. So if you don't put the right content in your website, there's no chance that Google will display that in the searches. And bear in mind that what search results actually are is your advertising space. If I type in Reading Solicitor, if your website comes up at the top, if all it says is ABC & Co Solicitors, we're in Reading, that's not very likely to get me to click on it. If it says leading Reading solicitors, Law Society approved, click here for a free initial consultation or free call. Don't like the word consultation, a bit too formal. It's much more likely to get me to click on it to go through to your website. So getting to the top of Google is one thing. Getting to the top of Google and having sales copy in your content is good. So obviously for me, legal marketing services, the copy you see, those 2 lines there in that top line, that's words that I put onto my website. Google's gone in, taken them, and then puts that in the search results. Leading capitals, because I know that that works better than not leading capitals, because it stands out because everyone else is not doing that. So that's important. Again, I'll happily show you how to do that. My keyword trick. So if you're trying to think of pages and new content, how you can find out how people are looking for you, then there's a couple of tricks that are really good, and I'll share those with you later, because you really need to give some thought to what people might type in to find you, but you can use things like analytics to go into your current content and see what's attracting people. And 9 times out of 10, even if someone's finding you by typing in solicitor, conveyancing, Reading, if you actually put that search into your Google, put that into Google, you might find that the page they're going to isn't the right page. 9 times out of 10 that's the case. But having that knowledge means you could then change that page and make it better and improve the content, and then get even more targeted traffic, much more likely to get in touch with you. 60% of your users want this. It never ceases to amaze me. I've talked about calls to action, telling people what you want them to do, but so many law firms fail here because they don't have an inquiry form, or if they do, they put it on the contact page so it gets lost with all the address details, telephone details, etc. I do apologise, there's constant flashing up. Make sure you've got an inquiry form, link to it regularly, make sure it is easy to get to. It's on its own page, it's not surrounded by other information, because I used to have a website in the claims industry. It didn't have an inquiry form. As soon as we put one on, the inquiries dramatically increased. So it's definitely worth having one of those. I talked about expertise, and one of the things you could do is say how many people you've actually helped, how many clients you've handled or assisted. I do that on the software product, which I'll mention briefly later, which is mine, which is a live chat. It's like an instant inquiry form, and that makes a big difference where people can see that, you know, this isn't just something that a couple of people use, it's used extensively. It gives people confidence that they're dealing with an expert. So for you, that could be 1,000-person injury claims handle. We've helped 1 million businesses start up, or whatever it is, whichever sector you're in. Once you've got that inquiry form on your website, put it in the Amazon space. And I get frustrated with web design companies because when mobile sites came out, everyone decided it was trendy to put the navigation on the right. If you remember what I said earlier, people read across the top and then they come down the left. So navigation should only ever be on the left, but web design companies like to do things differently because it makes their day more fun. Doesn't make your website work harder. And I had a client earlier today who emailed me because his website designer didn't want to do what I'd asked him to do. And I said, well, that's fine, yeah, let's do what your website designer says, but bear in mind, when you don't get any phone calls from your website, your web design company will still bill you and they won't care if you go out of business. You have to be strong with web design companies and base it on what actually works, not what they think works, because generally they don't have the expertise to know what's working. They just do what they want. As you can tell, I've probably got a few issues with web design companies because they've ruined too many of my clients' businesses and taken far too much money for the privilege. So when you have an inquiry form, put it in the Amazon Buy Now button space, right-hand side of the website, below the main header image. That's where people expect to take action. So if they read the content, they like your content, they can see your experts because you've got logos displayed. They click on the inquiry form button, away you go. You've got an inquiry. You can then take it to the next level. Don't just have it there, though. It also needs to be in your call to action at the bottom of every page, because as I've said, you've got to spell out everything to all of your visitors to make it as simple as possible for them to take action. So once you've got an inquiry form, link it, put it on the right hand side, put it at the bottom left. Now this one is from the claims website I used to have. And even though that inquiry form stayed on the page, whenever they scrolled, people still click this button and filled in the bigger inquiry form on a free inquiry form page. So as I say, I've tested this stuff, so I know why it's important that you do this. Next point, as I said, I'll rattle through, but you can have a one-to-one with me, which will give you a chance to get your exact instruction list of what you need to do. Another huge mistake made is putting your prices on your website, because once you do this, you become a price comparison site, and there's a lot of those springing up in the legal world. Don't do it. Get your own website working properly. I promise you that's your best investment of time. If you are pitched against other solicitors, you've got no chance. So you really need to get your own website working properly. I've worked with firms that put prices on instant quotations, and overnight they stop getting telephone calls. And the only purpose of your website is to make your telephone ring. It's not to sell your full service. You cannot sell a legal service from a website. You sell the first inquiry. On that inquiry, you then sell your service. So if you put your prices on there, you stop people calling you up. You stop the chance to engage with them and convert them into a client. So if you've got prices on there, I would very strongly suggest you test taking them off. Stress that you offer a fixed fee service or a free initial call, and you'll discuss all pricing options on the phone, and then you've got time on the phone to talk them through it properly. So once you've got all of this working well, what can you do? You get more, suddenly you make some changes to your website, you get more phone calls, more inquiries to your service. How do you turn more of them into clients? So I mentioned the first point of your website, sell the first contact, and on your contact, on that first call, sell the next stage. And often, if you're selling an hourly rate charge, hourly rate service, let me tell you that one of the best things you can do is offer an initial fixed fee consultation or review or report, because once a client's engaged with you, had a chance to work with you, they're much more likely to take things to the next stage. However, if I have a chat with you and you say to me, my hourly rate's £400 and could take 20 hours, could take 50, that's a massive gap. I don't know what's going on. Get some trust with me, sell me an initial fixed fee consultation, and then you have the ability to really go onto your hourly rate and explain what needs to be done then. So it's a much easier sell for you, so I suggest you try that if you haven't done so before. Next thing, call handling. If you spend the time getting your website right, which I recommend that you do because it makes a massive difference, the worst thing you could then do is have your normally have your own receptionist ask it. If you're a relatively large firm, you'll generally have a receptionist, and when she's busy, as she will be with people coming through and staff interrupting, it goes on a ring around the office. The secretaries, in my experience, don't want to answer the call. So you spend all this money generating a phone call, and the client's left holding. It might even go to a voicemail. If you're a small team, one or two of you, and each of you picks it up, again, if two of you are on the phone, if another call comes in, you've lost that client, get an engaged tone, or again go to voicemail. It costs very little to have a call center take all of your calls, and then you get a much better answer rate, and new prospects don't get wasted. So if you've gone to all this trouble and you've generated an inquiry, they pick up the phone, can't get through to you, guess what? They hit the back button, they go off to your competition. That could be a client worth £10,000, £50,000, £100,000 to you. You've lost them because you didn't get to the phone quick enough. You will know from your own experience that people aren't patient anymore. They're not prepared to seek down a solicitor and wait for hours to speak with them. They will be a bit more tolerant if you do the steps I've talked about, proving expertise, etc. But still, ultimately, they want to speak to someone. If they can't get through to you and there's no voicemail, or they get cut off, or they get an engaged tone, they probably won't try again. So all of that hard work is suddenly wasted. Now, if you want access to a call center handler, I've got a firm I work with who work with a lot of my clients. Happily introduce you to them. You can email me from the website. The other thing where most firms fail is they fail to follow up enough. And they say, well, we can't hard sell. You don't have to hard sell. If you serve your clients, not sell to them, you will get more instructions. And surely good part of good service is when you send out an email saying, here's our details, you follow that up with a phone call and say, did you get them? Have you got any questions? That's not selling. That's good customer service, good client service, and it makes a dramatic difference to your profits, I promise you, because I've put this in place for far too many firms now. How do you get more inquiries and more clients? Here's some simple software bits for you, and some simple advice as well. First one being your hourly rate. So if you can charge any of these figures, or in cases and much more, Don't do your own marketing. No, I would say that, wouldn't I? I'm not trying to do it for you, don't worry. I don't want to do most of the things you need doing, like your website changes. But you can find someone that you can pay at a fraction of your hourly rate to do it. It never ceases to amaze me when I work with a partner in a law firm, I work with a sole practitioner who might have 20 staff, but he's still tweaking his website. You can get someone to do that for 25 to 50 pounds an hour. It is much better that you have someone that just does websites doing it rather than trying to do it yourself. I'm just staggered by the number of lawyers that like playing with their website. Yes, it's fun. Yes, it's good, but your website needs to change, grow quickly, and it is very unlikely that you're a best qualified person to do this, especially when you look at those hourly rates. So DFY instead of DIY, get it done for you. If you go to the process of changing your website, and that's my daughter and my son on a on a holiday. It was my dream. That's my dreams disappearing. I was hoping to get them on a yachting holiday, so we did a day to test it out from Fiscado in Greece. My son fell asleep. He thought it was boring. My wife and daughter thought they were going to die. So that was the end of my holiday dreams. Anyway, I digress. So if you want a plain sailing experience for your website, then what I strongly recommend is don't do what a lot of firms do, which is take down their old website while they're building a new one. Keep your old website up. Keep your old content. Do your new design. Put the old content on your new design. Then get the content updated. So many firms ask their staff to write the content. Of course, that's never going to happen. You'd be better off outsourcing, as I suggest. But put your old content on there. Update it. If the design is so bad that you know it's not working, change the design. Then change the content. And if you're getting a WordPress site or a content management site, then that's easy to do. But so many firms get this wrong by trying to do everything at once. It doesn't work. So that's good advice there to save you a fortune, hopefully. And if you want help with web introductions to web design companies, I can certainly do that. So again, just email me. More clients automatically. There's some good services out here. And one of them is mine, so I would say that. Mine's very cheap. The other one that's even better is very expensive. So live chat works really well. Benefits of it are obvious. Clients on your website doesn't quite know if you're the right firm, types into a live chat box, starts chatting with you, you're able to get around their questions and their concerns, and suddenly you've got an inquiry and an instruction. Problems with live chat, which led me to create my own software, are if people try and run it themselves, as often solicitors do, first few weeks they turn it on, next few weeks not so often, and then never at all. So you actually get a box that says we're offline now, but leave us a message, which no one's ever going to do. And it looks like you're shut. It's like having an office door and shutting for lunch, which still, again, amazes me law firms do on a high street. That's a different story. So there's ways around that. There's outsourced live chat, and if you want an introduction to this, let me know. But this is managed 24/7. If you have a website and if you're getting anything over 2,000 or 3,000 visits a month but not getting inquiries, I can guarantee this website software will pay for itself. So let me know if you'd like an introduction to that, because it's managed for you. You get a chat transcript, you can have them live transferred straight through to you, but it's always on. So the chance of someone actually clicking it increased dramatically. And in many cases, I've seen an uplift to sort of 40-50% of inquiries. So if you're getting 50, you might get another 25 or 30. If you turn 5 or 10 of them into clients, how much is that worth to your business? So that's great. And then the problem with that is it does cost a bit more. So I thought, well, there should be something else that's sort of in between the two that's not live chat, but it does interact with your visitor, which is why I came up with the idea of Your Website Genie. And the good news about it is it's cheap. It's £20 a month. You can have a £1 a month trial for 3 months. But the reason it works is because it pops up after 30 seconds, says, can we help you? Here to answer any questions. It's very gentle. It's very soft. If they ask a question, they get taken through to another page where they then enter their contact details after the question. You get an instant email with that question. Even if they won't enter their contact details, you get told which page they're on and what the question was, so that you can improve your content for future visitors. So it doesn't just give you live inquiries, it gives you it's a learning resource to make your website better as well. So that works really well, and we have seen clients clients get 300% increase. So if you're getting 10 inquiries a month, up to 30 just by putting this on. Again, it's 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You'll notice, I've only just noticed that, but it says 1,462 inquiries there. So I obviously took that screenshot a while ago. I showed you earlier it was up to about 30 odd thousand. So it's software that does generate inquiries for our clients, which is why lots of them stay with us for a very long time. So it's definitely worth looking at. And if you're getting any sort of volume of traffic, it will produce more inquiries for you. So the idea was you pay £20 a month, but you get one client every 2 or 3 months. If you only get one client, it's paid for itself for a couple of years, but you should get a lot more. So I've told you about a lot of changes you can make to your website instantly to generate more inquiries, how to get more instructions from those, and to make sure that you do as little of your own marketing as possible because it costs you a lot, giving you some software to help you. And I've said that for the first 10 of you, I will gladly do a one-on-one review with you because I can't stand bad law firm websites. I can't stand the fact that most solicitors make their lives much harder than they need to be. I can't stand it when a solicitor comes to me having spent thousands of pounds on a really bad website and has to start again. So for all these reasons, I offer you a chance to have a one-on-one with me. Let me look at your website. Let me point you in the right direction, tell you what you need to do to make it work. Some of you may then say, oh, Nick, how else can you help me? Great. Some of you won't. That's fine too. You know, I'm lucky in that I have a lot of really good clients who are regular clients with me. I'm not, looking to hard sell anything to you. I've never, thankfully, had to do that. Hopefully never will. But I know that if I speak to more solicitors, you get to understand how I can help and there'll be opportunities. So what I would say is take me up on it. Because even if you think, well, some of it's been useful, when you get a one-to-one on your own site, obviously I can drill into the exact problems you've got and I can show you exactly why you're not getting the inquiries that you might want. So if you want your one-on-one review, how do I do it? There you go. Either go to More Clients Now call reservation. That's quite hard to do, so you can phone me from the number on the website, which is obviously clearly on my website, or you can email me and the email address is there, whichever one you want of those. If you email me, what I'll do is I'll forward that to Christelle and she'll book you in, or you can go to that very long convoluted address which you don't have much chance of remembering. But when I put the recording of the webinar up for you, which I'll send out to you in the next 24 hours, you can also go have a link to that page and book on there. But I strongly recommend it. As I say, I will definitely find improvements for you. It doesn't cost you anything except for your time. I'll get it done in about 20 minutes and you will find out exactly what you need to do. I'll happily answer any questions if you have any. Otherwise, I shall put the recording of this webinar up for you, and you'll get a survey after this. If you can answer that, that would be great. If you get any questions, then obviously reply to any of my emails and I will gladly answer your questions for you. Thank you for your time today. I will leave you to this very cold and now dark November day. Thanks for your time. Hopefully speak to you in the near future.